everybody, it's Gretchen, and this week was Thanksgiving, and you've got a lot of leftover turkey, I'm assuming, and we're going to make something yummy with it, a la Julia Child. Phenovelnoms. 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 Okay, so after I got finished doing all my Black Friday shopping, which, by the way, not only did I get everything on my list, but I was back in bed by dawn. That's right, I'm good. I was laying there on the couch, resting from all that exciting shopping, and I decided I was going to watch movies all day in my pajamas. And the first movie I watched was Julie and Julia. I know it's a movie, Julie and Julia, but it is also a book. I haven't read the book, but we're going to base this one on a movie slash book slash Julia Child Mastering the Art of French Cooking. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's a fantastic movie. There's a dish that she made in that movie, and it's called Poulet à Porto. I don't speak French. And it's this amazing, creamy, mushroomy chicken dish. I've got leftover turkey. Let's make that happen. And I think that the French word for turkey is like turkey. Yeah. If you have to submit video responses of yourself pronouncing turkey correct, I appreciate that. So I've got my pearls on, and I'm not going to do a Julia Child impression because my husband, who's filming this, has asked me not to. Okay. So this dish has a lot going on. It's kind of fussy, it's kind of complicated, it's kind of French cooking. That's kind of where we're going with it. When I do Thanksgiving, I do the standard old green bean casserole with the recipe off the side of the can. Stuffing's pretty straightforward, everything's pretty straightforward because that's tradition. So I like to take my traditional leftovers and actually do something a little bit crazy, a little fussy, a little Frenchy. The first thing you're going to need, mushrooms. I'm using the white mushrooms, which are pretty basic, straightforward, probably the cheapest thing you can find. You could use whatever mushroom you like, portobellos, creminis, which are just baby portobellos. Any of those will work. There's a lot of debate, because why not debate about mushrooms for crying out loud? To clean mushrooms, and people say don't put them in water because they absorb too much water. People say that if you soak mushrooms in water, they absorb too much, but really if you just soak them, get the dirt off of them, and then pat them dry or just let them dry on a paper towel, they'll be fine. And while I'm letting them dry, I'm going to put some water on the back burner here for our noodles. Our turkey cream mixture is going to go on top of that. Just going to make sure the mushrooms are dry. You need to check and see if the stem is woody. You can squeeze it. See how it's like a little mouth? It's saying, hello, I'm not woody. You don't need to cut me. They're squishy and they talk to you, you're good. So I'm just going to chop these. Don't chop them too finely because you don't want them to cook too fast. This is one of those dishes that you kind of have to keep up with the momentum and don't lollygag because you got to keep up. Alright, so we're going to put a third cup of water in the bottom of a saucepan. You don't want it to be too big. You want it to be big enough to hold your mushrooms, but not so big that it's just going to be with a tablespoon and a half, or sorry, half a tablespoon of butter, not a tablespoon and a half, which is basically 1.5 teaspoons. I'll let that melt in the water and boil up. We need some lemon. You need half of a teaspoon of lemon juice, so I'm just going to take a lemon, just do a little squeeze, just a little squeeze. Let that start melting. I don't know if you saw the movie Julie and Julia, but this is where the character, she's a writer, and she basically works her way through the entire mastering of the art of French cooking by Julia Child in a year. Insane. Alright, so we've got a boil on our water. I'm going to add in those mushrooms, a couple shakes of salt. Make sure that it gets coated in the butter and the water and the salt. The lemon. Just gonna let that cook for 8 minutes. These cookbook recipes, this is like the actual recipe from Julia Child's cookbook, are a little intense. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. Okay, while that's doing what it needs to do, I'm going to cut up some onion. This recipe literally calls for a half tablespoon of onion. Minced onion, which just means chop the living crap out of it. Mushrooms have about 6.5 minutes left. I'm going to take a can of evaporated milk. I am substituting this for cream. I will admit it. I'm sorry, Miss Child. It is a lot better for you. You can use heavy cream if you want. You can put the can opener the right way up if you want. One of the thickeners in this sauce is cornstarch. which is a really good thing to have on hand for gravies and all that kind of stuff in your kitchen. I'm just going to take about 1½ teaspoons of the cornstarch. I'm going to mix it with 1 tablespoon, which again is 3 teaspoons, of my milk mixture. It's going to make a little paste that when we add it to the sauce, it's going to cream it up, make it thicker. Now this recipe calls for a roasted chicken done the Julie Child way, which in her book I guess is very fancy. We're going to use our leftover turkey for that, so I don't have to worry about a roasting chicken in the oven. You could probably pick one up from your grocery store, like one of those roaster chickens, if you don't have the time, but you could also roast your own chicken in the oven all by yourself. I'm just following the recipe, and it said to use a 1/4 cup of water, and the water's already evaporated. There's mushrooms on my floor. It says to pour out the mushroom juice, but there's no mushroom juice. But that's okay, we're going with it. They do have a nice brown on them, which is kind of fun. What we're going to do is we're going to pour in a small can of the evaporated milk or cream, whatever you want to use, and the little mixture we made with the cornstarch and the evaporated milk. And we're going to let that simmer for 2 minutes. While that's simmering, I'm going to add my noodles to my pan on the back, so that they're ready to go. Seriously, don't be afraid to try new things. Do it. Try it. Eat it. To boil, and you don't want it to burn on the bottom, so keep it moving. Pick it up off the heat if you need to. I'm going to add a little bit of extra salt. This makes me so nervous. So once that's been simmering for 2 minutes, I'm going to take that off the heat. I'm going to set it aside, because we're going to add it back in later. Okay, I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of gravy left over from my Thanksgiving dinner, which I made from the drippings from my turkey. If you don't have this left over, you don't have any fat from the pan that you cooked a turkey in or whatever, you could use use olive oil or whatever oil you have on hand, or butter. Melt that in the bottom of the pan, get that cooking, add in those onions we chopped up. Let that cook for about a minute. And then I'm going to add some wine. Now I have this cheesy Cabernet Sauvignon that I buy just so I have for cooking. The recipe calls for port. If you have port, that's great, but you basically just want a dry red wine. We're just going to add that to the onion and the amazing turkey smell. We're going to let that come up to a simmer. Come to a boil, and we want it to reduce down, which makes it thicker. It's going to bring out all the flavors from those turkey drippings. It's going to bring out all the flavors from the wine and kind of cook out the alcohol and make a concentrated, oniony, turkey-y thing. You want to keep scraping the bottom to make sure nothing sticks. Get up everything you can. Going to add in that mushroom and cream mixture. You want that to simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes. Remember, keep an eye on it. If ever you got any kind of milk in it, there's a really good chance it could scald on the bottom, so you want to keep it moving. You could add a little bit more lemon. Have a drink of wine. Okay, that's pretty thick. You see how thick that is running down my spoon? That's pretty saucy, gravy thick. So I'm going to set that at the back, not on a burner. Now, here's the thing. We're going to use that leftover turkey in a flambe. We're going to light it on fire. Before we get into that, because I want to let you adjust to the idea of the fact that I'm about to light this on fire, I'm going to get out my turkey. It's just my husband and I, so I'm going to use about 1.5 pounds probably, or a pound of turkey. I actually want to leave it pretty big pieces, because like I said, we're going to light it on fire, so I don't want them to be so small that they're just going to burn. Okay. I'm going to have 2 extra things on hand, a lid and a fire extinguisher. I want to put this here because my husband, aka the cameraman, will be in charge of putting out the fire. Some Zen moments. Fire, fire, fire. Just put like a tablespoon of butter on the bottom. We're going to get that. Put it only halfway up because you don't want to burn the butter. Add your meat. If meat is cold, it brings down the temperature of the alcohol that we're going to use to flambe it, and it actually won't catch fire. And we want fire. I bought some brandy. Now, if the recipe calls for cognac, cognac is brandy. It's just cognac or brandy that's been made in France. So you can go get some shooters from your liquor store. You don't have to invest in a giant bottle of brandy unless you like brandy. All right, here's what we're gonna. Okay. I feel like a crazy person. Okay, okay, okay. This is so exciting. Burning, burning, burning. We're gonna put it out. Okay, that was intense. We're gonna pour in that cream mixture over the top of your flambe chicken or turkey. You don't have to do the flambe. The flambe is just the fun part. It's great for guests. Shock and amaze them. Show off how much fire insurance you have. OMG. Now we're gonna try it. Some of my drained noodles. You could use your leftover mashed potatoes. Use rice, whatever it is you want to put. We're going to put some of that turkey mushroomy mixture over the top of it. And this, my friends, is turkey à Porto. Except we didn't use port wine. We didn't use chicken. Anyway, it's good. It's Julia Child. Let's give it a shot. Ooh. It's very creamy. And you would think you could taste alcohol, but the alcohol burned off enough that it just left like a deep flavor. Oh, without that intense alcohol flavor. So yummy. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go enjoy my Julia Child extravaganza masterpiece and be proud of myself and be thankful that I didn't burn in a fire and end up in the burn unit. And you go watch Julie and Julia and go read the book, and I hope you have a phenomenal week.